Hello and welcome to Star Interview. Today's special guest has a DSO, OBE, DFC and 2 bars, AFC and the Czech Military Cross. He flew Spitfires in World War II, later becoming a test pilot and being one of the first to break the sound barrier. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Neville Duke! Welcome, nice to meet you.
Jolly nice to meet you too.
Please, have a seat. Now can you tell me about your early life?
Well, I was born on January the 11th, 1922, in Tonbridge, Kent. My first school was the convent of St. Mary, where I had a happy time. Even at that age, I was interested in airplanes, as well as boats and ships. When I was 7, I made my first model plane. I was so pleased with it that eventually I built a scale model aerodrome with over 60 planes. When I was 8, I then went to the Judd School in Tonbridge. I wasn't the best student, but it gave me a good education, and by the time I left, when I was 17 and a half, I knew I wanted to be a pilot. My parents, on the other hand, didn't want me to fly. I even phoned my parents pretending to be the Judge Headmaster's private secretary and told them that Neville Duke was very ambitious and would do well, especially if he took up a flying career.
When did you start to fly?
I applied for the RAF as soon as I left school, but was turned down for being too young. When I was 18, I reapplied, and after a few interviews and a long wait, in June 1940, I received a letter from the Air Ministry telling me to report at Uxbridge. I was in the RAF. My first solo flight was in a Tiger Moth in September 1940. I'll never forget it. Or was it 1941? Or even 1939?
Now tell me, Neville, what is your favourite plane?
Undoubtedly the Spitfire Mark V. It handled superbly. Not quite as fast as the Messerschmitt 109, but much more manoeuvrable.
Where were you based during the war?
I was based at Biggin Hill in 1941 with Squadron 92. Later that year I was with 112 Squadron and saw action in North Africa. I also spent some time in Italy with Squadron 145.
How many enemy planes did you shoot down?
Well, it's not really a subject I enjoy talking about, but let's just say it was over 25, and I hope most managed to bail out. I must say so, I got shot down a few times myself.
What has been your most embarrassing moment?
That must have been when I thought I could land the Spitfire Mark I, but I overshot it, went off the runway and tipped it up onto its nose.
What did you do after the war?
Well, I became a chief test pilot at the Hawker Aircraft Company and tested many planes, including the Hawker Hunter, in which I broke the sound barrier. I remember a gruesome scene at Farnborough Aerodrome when John Derry was flying his DH-110 at sonic speed for the annual display of Society of British Aircraft Instructors, and his plane fell apart in mid-air. The cockpit fell to the runway, and the jets carried on going into a crowd of spectators.
Now, here today we have a few clips of you test piloting. Who would like to see them?
Oh no.
Squadron leader Neville Duke, who only a few days ago cracked the existing airspeed record, gets set in his flame-colored Hawker Hunter to achieve an even higher speed. His previous record was just short of that required to beat an American claim of 715 miles an hour, so he's out to make quite sure of it this time. From Tangmere Airfield in Sussex, Duke takes off to make 4 runs across a 3-kilometer course between Rustington and Kingston Court. Marker floats are set along the course. The timing mechanism is all set, and here comes the Hunter. Holiday crowds look up again as Duke flashes past on his second run at about 50 feet above sea level. Four times Duke makes the run before he brings the Hunter back to Tangmere. As the aircraft comes to a halt, Duke, smiling and confident, waves to reporters and cameramen. Now it has been revealed that this shy, modest young pilot has recaptured the world speed record for Britain with an average of 727.6 miles an hour. Standing quietly with the crowd who gather round is his wife. Duke's achievement has set the seal to a week brilliant in British aviation history.
Can you tell me any more about your later life? Well, I got married to my wonderful wife Gwen. Even now in my 80s, I regularly fly a plane. Is there any message you would like to give to the boys at Judd today? I would just say, don't be afraid to follow your dreams and work as hard as you can to achieve them. And finally, beware of the Hun in the sun. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand please for Neville Duke!